Welcome to duty.
Hi, my name is Chris and this is Battle Nonsense. As you might know, I play Battlefield games since BF 1942 came out in 2002, and my all-time favorite is still Battlefield 2 because of the core design of this game and the value I got for my money there with mod support, battle recorder, LAN mode and many other features that the new games don't provide anymore. So last year DICE asked the community which their favorite maps were, and they allowed us to choose from the maps of every single Battlefield game that has ever been released. What followed were 6 months of pure torture, because we didn't get any news about this classic map that DICE would bring back to Battlefield 4. During that time of silence I released a video where I showed you the maps that I would like to see ported over to Battlefield 4, and I talked about the risks and pitfalls when you bring a map from an older game to a new one. The reimagined Battlefield 2 maps that we got in the Back to Karkand DLC for Battlefield 3 showed how small changes like an increased drawing distance coupled with the 3D spotting can cause that the map does not feel anything like the original. So there was a lot of speculation during the last 6 months about which map DICE is working on. Since yesterday, we know that it is the map that I have running here in the background, Dragon Valley from Battlefield 2. If you have seen my video about which maps I would like to get ported over to Battlefield 4, then you might remember that Dragon Valley was not on that list. The reason for that is that I tried to only pick 4 maps, and Battlefield 2 has a lot of really great maps, so it was a really hard choice to make. So in that video I decided to choose Fushi Pass over Dragon Valley, because Fushi has a really stunning scenery with the river in the middle of the map, and it also has more elevation changes. That said, Dragon Valley is a really awesome vehicle-focused Battlefield 2 map, and the designers at DICE have done a really great job porting it over to Battlefield 4. I think it helped that some of them have already worked on Battlefield 2 back at the day, so they are the experts at DICE when it comes to that game. But why did they choose Dragon Valley? First of all, DICE was looking for a classic map that will provide an experience that is different to the other Battlefield 4 maps. They were also looking for a map that has never been ported to one of the Frostbite engine games before, which means no Strike at Karkand, Gulf of Oman or Wake Island. So while I can understand that the fans of Battlefield 3 are not happy that they don't get even more maps ported over to Battlefield 4 than they already got, the goal here was to bring back a classic map that you can't really play online anymore. And for the majority of today's players, Dragon Valley will be like an entirely new map, as they have never seen or played the original. So how much does this new map cost? Nothing. It will be free for every player out there who owns Battlefield 4. Not even premium is required. But when this map will leave the CTE is not known. The team that works on that additional content at DICE is quite small, so we will have to see how the development progresses. We also don't know if there will be more classic maps after Dragon Valley. Again, the team is very small and I'm honestly impressed by what they have accomplished so far. But when David Sirland, who is the CTE producer at DICE, was asked on Twitter if we will get more classic maps after Dragon Valley, he answered that they still don't have an end date for the Battlefield 4 support. So who knows, maybe Road to Jalalabad or Mashhad City will be next, as an infantry-focused city map would definitely be nice to have in Battlefield 4. Now, in what state is the prototype of Dragon Valley? Unlike the first versions of the community map project, it already has textures and a lot of details. The reason for that is very simple. While the community map is built from the ground up with the community, Dragon Valley has already been designed back in Battlefield 2 and was quote-unquote just ported over to Battlefield 4. So what's the game plan of DICE? For the next 2 weeks the Battlefield 4 community test environment will focus on Dragon Valley. This means that if you want to play on that map and give your feedback, then you have the next 14 days to do so to influence how this map will turn out in the end. The game mode that is currently supported in the CTE is Conquest Large, where the designers use nearly the same amount of control points as in the original. And even though the control point at the harbor near the US carrier is not there yet, this means that Dragon Valley has more flags than any other map in Battlefield 4, which should give you an idea of the size of this map. Another difference between the original and this prototype is that the designers currently use Conquest instead of Conquest Assault. This means that the main base of the Russians can't be captured. But as the CTE producer David Sirland said on Reddit, the layout is not set in stone, and they might also look into supporting other game modes like Team Deathmatch and Rush. For Team Deathmatch, they might use this area here, where you could basically rebuild canals from Battlefield 3. I really hope that the designers go for the Conquest Assault layout and use the exact same amount of flags as the original did, as well as spawn the same vehicles at these control points as in Battlefield 2, because right now this is not the case. Now if you wonder what the Russians do on Dragon Valley, then don't be concerned. This is just temporary. They will be replaced with the Chinese faction as the development progresses. One of the features that I really liked in Battlefield 2 was the ability to destroy bridges, and so force the other team to take a different route. This feature had a pretty strong impact on the tactics and how the map played, as you had to adapt to the changes on the battlefield. But you could not just destroy these bridges, you could also repair them, which did look a bit strange, but it allowed your team to sneak around the enemy using a bridge that they destroyed before. That this was no longer possible in the Frostbite generation Battlefield games was one of my biggest gripes that I had with their maps, as it reduced the tactical depth. Did I just say was and not is? That's right, on Dragon Valley you can destroy a bridge and repair it again. So you can influence which routes the enemy team is able to take, and you can even kill a player who drives over a bridge. Just blow it up in the right moment. And I really liked that repair animation. It looks like something out of a movie like Inception. Then we have the aircraft carrier and the airfield where the jets spawn. What I currently miss at the airfield are hangars to protect the spawned jets, but the map is not finished yet, which means that the designers still have quite some time to add and move objects. Talking about jets, you might have troubles to get off the ground as the current jet physics need to be changed a bit to allow that, which will hopefully happen soon. Now speaking about issues that this prototype has currently. You should not use low settings, as your system will then run out of memory and the game will crash. This will also happen at medium and high if your CPU does not have enough memory. Then there are some objects that don't have the correct destruction settings, and so they can be destroyed by rifle fire. You will also notice that the vehicles still have their lights enabled, which are meant for the night maps only, so these will be removed soon. Then there are two issues with the user interface. When you repair a bridge, then you won't see the repair icon yet, and since Dragon Valley has more flags than any other Battlefield 4 map, the UI on top of the minimap is currently not able to correctly display all of them. So even in this early state, Dragon Valley is a beautiful map, and you can see how much time the designers spent at recreating the map properly in Battlefield 4, to not just have it look but also feel similar to the original. And if you play it on a server that is running the classic preset, which I hope Dicelay will put up soon in the CTE, then you will not only get an experience unlike anything that you had before in Battlefield 4, but this is then also the closest that you can get to the original feel of playing Dragon Valley in Battlefield 2. To play a classic Battlefield 2 map in Battlefield 4 shows how much the franchise changed in the last few years. So even in classic mode, Dragon Valley will still not feel quite the same as the original, because the core game design of Battlefield 4 is fundamentally different. Battlefield 2 is much more tactical and teamwork focused. It's slower paced due to the stamina system of the player and the lack of a turbo boost for the vehicles. Then there's the commander, who is a physical entity on the battlefield, and so are his commander assets that can be destroyed and repaired. Helicopters and jets have limited ammo and can be repaired and rearmed at helipads or airstrips. Each of the 7 classes has a very specific role, and to have different classes work together in your custom named 6-man strong squad will make it really effective on the battlefield. Then among many other things, there is the whole chain of command, including the fully localized communication system that consists out of the comm rows, the tech rows, the text feed and the tactical map, which was introduced in Battlefield 2 and worked really great there, as it allowed coordinated teamwork no matter what kind of language the player spoke or installed their games in. Compared to that, the system that we have in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 is just useless, and looks like DICE never even made Battlefield 2, otherwise I can't explain why they did such a bad job in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. So the list of differences in the core game design between the Refractor and Frostbite Engine generation Battlefield games is a quite long one. As with Battlefield 3, the designers made several steps away from the original design and the design goals of the franchise, to move it more towards the fast-paced, instant action shooter that is like a Michael Bay movie. This did attract much more players to the franchise. Players who would not have touched Battlefield 3 if it would have had the same design goals as Battlefield 2, or Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, which was the console version of the game. So this change did help EA to increase the sales figures. But at the same time, these changes are responsible for most of the teamwork and gameplay issues that we have since Battlefield 3. like unlimited ammo and auto repair for the attack helicopter in Battlefield 3, which caused that the pilot and the gunner could keep the hammer down on a specific area of the map for a very long time, as they never had to leave the battle to repair and rearm on a helipad, which would have given the ground forces the chance to regroup and push on. So since the helicopter would never go away, it's not a surprise that the players on the ground were annoyed by the helicopters. On the ground, the players now have to rely much less on each other, which greatly degraded the teamwork aspect and the players' awareness of what their teammates need and want, like ammo, medkits and repairs. So when you look behind the graphics, then you will see that today's Battlefield games are quite shallow compared to the originals. This is really sad because the Battlefield franchise once provided a solution for players who on one hand got bored by the generic fast-paced lone wolf action shooters, while military simulations like Arma on the other hand were just too much for them because they are so time-consuming to play. For these players, Battlefield once provided the perfect balance between these two ends of the spectrum, as it was set in the sweet spot between those military simulations and the casual or arcade shooters. When Battlefield moved away from that design, it left a vacuum that no other game has filled so far. So while EA is obviously not interested to build a game to fill that specific gap, I hope that eventually another publisher or studio will do, because such a game provides a really different experience, and variety is always welcome. Or DICE could just give us the mod tools and the community will take it into their own hands. But let's not end the video on something that is so depressing. I'm really happy to see what DICE did for Battlefield 4 and the community since they took over, and I'm pretty sure that the only reason why we get free content so long after the game has been released is because somehow the people at DICE managed to convince EA that this is the right thing to do for the franchise, to keep it alive and the community happy until the next Battlefield game comes out. So use the next 14 days to play Dragon Valley in the Battlefield 4 CTE, enjoy your time on that gorgeous map and make sure that you provide the designers with your feedback so that they can make the map even better. And who knows, maybe players will demand more maps like Dragon Valley in the future. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.